really throw it about. But here we go once again. I'm expecting good things from this. Might even be thumbnail worthy. And we are... Whoa, that. My stomach went then. I thought we were literally going to flip backwards.
Hey guys, welcome back to Motorsport Madness. Now today we have another fun fact-finding mission that I thought I would do purely because I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I thought, why don't I bring you guys with me now? Just around the corner, Monday actually is my birthday, so I thought I'll just do a really fun and simple video and do some science as well. Now, a lot of this video will be focused on the engineering of several cars that we have. We've actually got 9 F1 cars right from 1950 to present day that we're going to be testing and seeing how far these things can actually fly. We've even got a 10th car as well at the end, but you'll see why. You'll see why. It's a little birthday treat to myself. So where are we going to be doing this test? Well, there's only one place really that's appropriate. Now, we are going to be going to Flugplatz at the Nordshleife. Not just any Nordschleife, the old Nordschleife, where I believe the crest of the hill is a little bit sharper than it is nowadays. Now, if you don't know what Flugplatz means, it quite literally translates to airfield. Yeah, there we go. That's enough for you to tell, to know that these cars can take off. Now, if you're pretty knowledgeable about Formula 1 and you love its history just like I do, you'll know in the 60s when F1 raced here, the iconic images of cars quite literally taking off as they come over that hill. It's an iconic scene in Formula 1 history, and it's a scene that we pretty much won't be seeing ever again, which is a shame. So ever since 1976, we've never really known how far an F1 car can take off. Now, obviously, when they're in racing situations or any situation, they'll most likely slow down slightly for that hill. Now, here on Motorsport Madness, we're not going to be doing that. We are simply going to be putting our foot to the floor and seeing how high we can really jump and how far the distance will be. So from the top of the hill, roughly where the sign is approximately 100 meters. So we won't be able to get an accurate distance measured, but I'm sure with the replays we'll be able to see quite easily which one come out of. I have a feeling I know which one will, but we're here to find out anyway. So anyways, I've spoken for too long as I normally do. So let's go into our first car, which is an icon. So our first car on the list is the wonderful Alfa Romeo 158 Alfetta, which we drove actually in the first season of the historic F1 series. Now, this car was the first ever championship winning car in Formula 1, driven by none other than Nino Farina, if you did not know. Now, this one is probably going to be the most graceful one to take off the car. I haven't actually tested this car on the Nordschleife. In fact, a lot of these cars I haven't actually tested in this test. This is completely new to me. But this car features a 1.5 litre supercharged straight 8 engine, putting out about 250 horsepower, so it's not that quick. But what's important is the engine is mounted in front of the driver, and the fuel tank is behind the driver, so you got a nice balancing act here. So I'm not expecting this thing to rock backwards or rock forwards. I think it might. I'm predicting it's gonna sort of stay straight and level as we go over the top. So yeah, let's go and find out. Okay then, we're near the descent as we head towards Flugplatz for the first time. There it is, right at the top there. It's pretty recognisable, but let's get some speed up, see what happens. Already up to third. This will probably be the slowest car that we test today, and yeah, it wasn't really much, was it? I would say that was about about 5 inches, but it did seem graceful. I didn't notice the car pitching upwards or downwards, so I think that was a pretty basic test, and I didn't really expect much from this one. But let's head into the next one. So we've moved forward quite a few years now, and here we are, the Ferrari 312-67. This is an iconic Formula 1 car, absolutely gorgeous as well. This features a lovely 3-litre V12 engine, so it's pretty quick, but it's mounted at the back as opposed to the front, as we just saw in the Alfa Romeo. So a lot of the weight is at the back. There's not too much weight at the front, and the only thing you've really got is the driver's feet. Now, the engine in question puts out about 390 horsepower, but this thing, importantly, is very light. It's only roughly about 550 kilograms in weight, so it's very light, extremely powerful, and very, very fast. Now, taking this thing around Nordshleife is fun anyway, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get a little bit of air. And as you can see from the design of the car, there's not really anything in the way of aerodynamics. It's essentially a bathtub on wheels, as these cars of this era are commonly referred to, and the iconic shots of these cars jumping over Flugplatz is from this era. So I think we're going to be seeing what we expect from a Formula 1 car, so let's give it a go. I really do love this car. Can really throw it about. But here we go once again. I'm expecting good things from this. Might even be thumbnail worthy. And we are. Whoa, that. My stomach went then. I thought we were literally gonna flip backwards. That's a little bit scary, I'm not gonna lie. I have no idea how far we reached then. That must have been a good metre, or even a metre and a half in the air. That really shocked me, that really took me by surprise. But I think that launched about 50 metres. That's crazy. Right, I need a cup of tea before the next one. So this time we move only just 1 year to 1968, and we're still the same car, the 312. But if you look closely, you'll be able to see a slight change in the design of this car. Can you spot it? It's a little bit hard to see, but at the back there we have a wing. Now, in 1968, cars started to appear with what was known as aerofoils, and as Jackie Stewart put it once, they were suddenly driving biplanes. Now, essentially what these are airplane wings, but inverted, so instead of producing lift, they're actually producing downforce, which pushes the car down closer to the ground. So as the air is rushing in, you get it. And also at the front, there is some sort of early type of front wing as well, essentially doing the same thing. So whilst, yes, the car will be somewhat slower on the straights due to drag, but around corners you'll be a little bit quicker. And obviously with these added bits onto it, it's slightly heavier than the last car we tried. This one is about 600 kilograms in weight, but with essentially the same power output. And now with these wings, what am I predicting? I'm not really too sure actually. Will it stay level, or will it just take off backwards and do a somersault? Let's find out. So you can't throw this one around as much as the last one due to the wing, of course. But here we go once again. I'm a little bit frightened this time. Through the gears, third gear. We're slightly slower, but of course, here we go. Yep, as predicted, it wasn't as much of a throw, probably because of the wings trying desperately to keep this thing on the road. But we did pitch backwards a bit, but not as much as the last one, and I don't think we flew as fast as the last car, which was the 31267, of course. Okay, that's interesting to know that the wings on this thing has worked, and let me just check. Yep, stayed on as well. So yeah, let's get into our next one and see what happens. Now we've moved on to another icon in Formula 1. This is the Ferrari 312T from 1975. Now essentially, they're pretty much the same cars as what we previously just drove. except there's a lot more bodywork, there's a lot more focus on aerodynamics this time. Now this car has a 3-litre flat 12 engine in the back, so a wonderful sounding machine, and also has a transverse gearbox. This was one of the first cars to try it out, and it worked brilliantly. That's why there's a T in the 312 name. Now they're slightly different for you know. You notice the rear wing is very flat. It's almost like a little pancake, and then you have a little lip at the back, and the front is very much still basic aerofoil design. Now what can this be expected? You've got to remember, this car took part in the last Formula 1 race at the Nordshleife in 1976, and so from this car we're going into unknown territory. Now on the run up to Flugplatz, a lot of drivers would brake and slow down before the jump, as obviously these cars are a lot quicker than the predecessors. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, so let's find out. Now, if you want to have a bit of fun, drive this car around this track. Honestly, you can really throw it around here. As we race towards Flugplatz now, 4th gear, what's going to happen? And nothing really. Probably because of the weight, and obviously with the engine and the gearbox right at the back, and there's a bit more weight at the front, we didn't really pitch backwards too much, and I don't think we travelled as far as the 31268 either. That looks about 30 metres, or maybe even less than that, 20. It feels like our rear tyres touched the ground a lot earlier than previous cars, of course, not including the Alfa Romeo there. Well, that's surprising. I'm very surprised at that. But, yeah, okay, let's get into the next one. Now we have another beautiful icon, probably one of the most aesthetically pleasing Formula 1 cars of all time, the Lotus 79 from 1978 actually. Now this was in the first of generation of ground effect cars. Now ground effect is a phenomenon that, without me using, obviously, with no face cam, I can't actually really sort of describe it. But basically, whilst previously a lot of the aerodynamic design was focused on the bodywork, this time they came up with an idea to alter the design of the underside and the body skirts of the cars, so that basically the air pressure rushing underneath the car would essentially suck the car down even further to the ground, so cornering speed would be unlike anything seen before. Now the Lotus 79 was the most successful car of this era, undeniably, whilst others were suffering pretty badly with porpoising and other such incidents because these were so fragile. Any slight bit that was broken, the cars would just tail off and go into barriers. And of course, what this car features is the iconic 3-litre Ford Cosworth DFV V8 engine, one that stood the test of time, and whilst it's not the most powerful, 475 horsepower at 11,000 RPM, I'm really not too sure what's going to happen here. Obviously, with ground effect, it's designed to suck the car to the ground and keep it there. So when we launch over that hill, will it launch or will it stay to the ground? I'm not too sure. So let's go and find out. You see, I love driving this thing, but sometimes it's quite difficult to handle through corners. But then again, I haven't taken this one around the Nordschleife before, so this is completely new to me. But here we go, full power. Get through the gears really quickly, up to 4th already. 5th gear. Will we stay on the road? Yes, pretty much. Oh wow, I think only our front tyres left the ground there. Wow, I'm actually quite impressed that that did work. Holy crap. Okay. Well, ground effect actually works in Assetto Corsa, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. Only our front tyres left the ground. That's pretty astonishing. We didn't leave the ground at all, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'll check the replay just to make sure. But, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. Well, Lotus. That's a slight disappointment. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, let's do it. Now it's time for power. Here we have the Lotus 9080 from 1986. Now, gone out of days of ground effect already and introducing turbo power. Now, this car is probably one of the most powerful Formula 1 cars to date, going up to 1,200 horsepower. Seriously, these things were monsters. It's only a small 1.5 litre V6, I believe. Yep, V6 with just insane, absolutely insane. So they're essentially the same engines as what we see in Formula 1 cars now. Obviously now hybrid technology, they're a little bit quieter. So a lot of people forget that. So if you're new to Formula 1 and you're looking into history, these engines existed back in the 80s, but obviously without hybrid technology they sounded a lot better. Now aerodynamically, yeah, pretty simple. Got front and rear wings that are a lot more aesthetically pleasing, but gone are the days of ground effect, and it's now in an era of raw power. So we'll be seeing some insane speeds as we go up Flugplatz. So let's find out what happens. This thing is so crazy. I've got the turbo set to 100, so this is as much max power as possible, and I'm predicting this thing will fly purely based on power and speed alone. 5th gear, 6th gear, here we go. It didn't, did it? Nope, not really. I think probably because of the weight of the gearboxes and engine and turbos just kept it down. You'll notice it just, front wheels, yes, went up, but the rears just didn't. So far it's still the 6.7, the 31267. That is the furthest to fly. But that's been a slight disappointment. I was hoping for better. But the next one is a little bit lighter. So might see something a bit different. So let's have a look. So now we've moved forward quite a few years actually to 1998, of a car designed by none other than Adrian Newey, the McLaren MP4-13. These were actually the cars that I remember from my youth. Just that beautiful livery combined with just such a beautiful looking car. Now this car won, of course, the 1998 World Drivers and Constructors Championship. In fact, the last Constructors Championship won by McLaren to this day. Now, what's it packing, I hear you ask? Well, it's got that iconic 3-litre V10 engine in the back, putting out about 800 horsepower at 17,000 RPM. So, some of the fastest Formula 1 cars the world has ever seen. Now, you also notice these things have grooved slick tyres, which were basically designed to slow the bloody things down. Seriously. Now, obviously, in terms of aerodynamics, they're still fairly simple, but the wheelbase is a lot longer than what they were in the 80s and 90s. The entire car is longer and just a lot smoother. So, what will happen? Let's go and find out. Right then, V10 magic is underway here, ladies and gentlemen, as we are approaching Flugplatz now. What will we do? I'm slightly worried. I'm slightly scared. Oh, full power. This thing is a beast. But once we get underway, we're fine. What's going to happen? I don't know. Nothing really happened. It's pretty much the same as the 9080. That's probably, again, down to most of the weight on the back. Huh. I'm very surprised there. I'm learning just like you are. But again, disappointed. I was hoping we'd fly and over the hills and... Oh well, that's a shame. It's the car. It's the car. Terrible. Anyway, next car. Next up we go to 2007, where the cars are pretty much the same, but of course you have V8 engines instead of V10s. And you'll notice there's a lot more things happening with this one. This is the McLaren MP4-22 from 2007, driven by Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton, of course. Now, the regulations at the time meant that these teams can put on added bits to the bodywork. Well, a lot of people said the cars were ugly. I disagree. I actually quite like the look of these cars from this era. They look a lot mean and just aggressive in nature, and these are obviously added to aid with airflow and the car. So pretty much the same for the previous McLaren we just tested, but we just added bits. So, how will it fly through the air? Let's find out. I absolutely love this car, especially this interior. So beautiful. And this thing is just wants to kill you. But after the last few results, I'm not really expecting much, but let's find out anyway. 6th gear, 175 miles an hour. Again, nothing. It just goes to show that all this effort into putting downforce on these cars and keeping these things on the ground is proving to be correct. All these earlier cars, they jump a lot more, and then slowly they've been keeping to the fore, which is interesting in itself. But I wanted flight. Oh well. Let's go to the next car. And finally, we have our last Formula 1 car on this list, and it's probably one of the most successful Adrian Newey designs of all time, the RedBull RB18 from 2022. Now, this era of regulations brought back ground effect, so as I said, the underside of the car is designed to suck the car to the ground, and of course, the general look of the cars are a lot more refined and aesthetically pleasing, a lot more smoother and streamlined. And of course now we have the drag reduction system to aid just raw speed. And currently, of course, the fastest Formula 1 cars ever seen. So without further ado, let's find out how fast the RedBull RB18 could go at the airfield. This thing can be a little bit of a beast at times, which I completely forgot before jumping into this thing. It's not really suitable for this kind of track, funny enough. Oh, hello. With everything open, it was like it was nothing. Just a small blip on the road. These cars are so refined, any kind of disturbance, it doesn't even know about it, it doesn't even know it's there. So from obviously what we've seen, we saw the first car, small little jump, but then we get to big jump, which, you know, saw the 312 fly for about 50 meters before touching the ground, and then slowly we see them more grounded, which is exactly how you'd expect a Formula 1 car to perform. But we have one special car to try next. And lastly, as a surprise little birthday present for myself, we have the Mercedes CLR. Now, if you're new to motorsports, or you know pretty much about everything about motorsports, you know exactly what this car is. At the 1999 24 Hours of Le Mans, this car made headlines across the world for all the wrong reasons. What happened to us? Well, this car took flight, quite literally, at the Circuit de la Sarthe. Not once, not twice, but 3 times this thing quite literally took off. Why it took off was pretty much down to the design of the car. And this is going to be a little bit hard for me to explain because I talk with my hands and there's no face cam, so I'm here with the microphone with my hands doing things and yeah, whatever. Anyway, I'm going to try and explain this the best way I can, but there are videos available which I'll leave a link in the description where you can watch and fully understand what happened. Now, a fairly basic explanation of what happened to this car and why it took off so easily I will try and explain in the most simple way possible. Now, the first thing was the wheelbase of the car was a lot shorter than its other counterparts. It was very short, meaning the overhang on the front and rear was a lot greater than all the other cars. So during acceleration, deceleration, the pitch angle of the car again was a lot greater. So obviously, if you didn't know, whilst accelerating, the car would pitch up, and during braking, the car would pitch down. So form a nice rocking motion during the drive. So of course, during its driving down the Mulsanne Straight and Indianapolis and anywhere the car was going fast, it would be already pointing upwards towards the sky. Now during practice, this car took off and they made a few changes, didn't expect much from it. Second time, during qualifying, it took off again. And this didn't really put on any alarm bells really. Mercedes put on a couple of like flappage things on the front to aid with downforce to keep it just stuck to the ground. This didn't help, as 4 hours into the race of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the car was following another car at Courbe du Gulf, you know where it is. And back then there's once again a nice little hill on the right hand kink of the corner. So obviously it was following another car and going a little bit quicker than what it normally was, and obviously as the aforementioned pitch angle, it was already pointed to the sky. So as it came over the crest of the hill, there was a sudden influx of air going under the car and it took off for the third time, and the most dramatic time, as it went over the crash barrier and into the wooded area next to the circuit. Luckily the driver was unharmed, but it was quite something. That so much so Mercedes not only decided to pull out from the race, but decided to pull out from sports car racing entirely. So will this mod take off? I have no idea. I haven't done this. I've tried it at Le Mans, nothing happened. So if it doesn't happen here, then this mod is inaccurate. So let's find out. I do like driving this car, but it's noticeably bumpier than the other cars we've tried today. But this is it, the last one. Here we go. Full power. Listen to that 6-litre V8 engine. Whoa, wait. What's going to happen? Now, nothing. God, that's disappointing. I was really hoping it would, you know, take off. But this mod is completely inaccurate. What's wrong with it? God damn it. Oh well, I had fun today. I hope you did as well. I know we didn't get the results that we wanted and we were expecting, but alas, it was good fun and I enjoyed it, and it's a good way to start my birthday celebrations. Quarter of a century. I hate it, but I hope you've enjoyed anyway, and it's been a pretty fun video to make. I will admit this has been really fun, and if you did like it, leave a like on the video. And someone's calling me as well. It is my father, always ringing me when I'm in these cars. Anyways, like I said, if you did enjoy this video, please leave a like on the video. It really helps me out. And of course, leave a comment as well. Did you find those results surprising, or did you expect a little bit more from them? And if you're new about here, subscribe as well. And yeah, take care out there. Have a good week, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later.